Hey everybody, welcome back to 3 Generations Restoration. Today I am standing behind our John Deere Model M we purchased back in the middle of summer this year. Probably June, July-ish is when we bought it. We bought this thing with some problems, notably the steering, the rear end is completely locked up, and the engine's also completely locked up. I also think the trans is locked up. Oh no, the transmission shifts nice and good. But we have a bunch of problems, and it's not going to do any good sitting out here. So let's go ahead and get her in the shop. Try that. She's a dead horse, guys. Alright, so we got the M in the shop, and right here you're seeing my grandpa and my dad take the seat off, so we get a little bit more access to what is down below the seat, like the 3-point arms, the brakes. These brakes on this tractor are actually encased in the differential, and we'll kind of get to that here in a second. We got the seat right there. We're going to set it aside. And we kind of got a little bit more access and a little bit more room to get to things on the tractor. All right, you can see now, right here, my dad is taking off the belt pulley. As you can see, that pulley is shot. And also, it's hard to see right here, but the nut that actually holds the paper belt pulley on has been stripped out. And this kind of will foreshadow a lot of how this tractor was treated in its life, because just little details like this belt pulley nut here really tell a good story of how this tractor was treated before we got it, and it'll truly unravel here in the next few minutes. Alright, so you just saw my dad and my grandpa messing around a little bit with the tractor. So the main problem with the tires in the back being stuck here, as you can see, is the brakes. The brakes are locked up on both sides. The brakes are encapsulated inside of this axle housing, as shown here in the IT service manual. Here's the housing. Here's the breakdown of the diff. Some more breakdowns, and I believe I saw, yeah, and then here's the brakes. So I looked. So there is an inspection hole where the rod goes in for each brake side. We sprayed in some PB Blaster as well on this side here, but we got no luck so far. You saw this thing get pulled, I don't know, from where it was sitting to where it is now, and it didn't move at all. But before we even mess with doing this, because this is a big job, we're gonna have to end up pulling the whole final drive assembly out. We want to kind of make sure we got a running engine. A couple steps we're gonna do to do this. The engine is currently locked up right now, so we're gonna kind of see what the damage is inside of the engine. Yeah, the engine oil looks pretty clean. It is over full, so it's probably got some water in it, maybe toward the bottom. We're gonna. This is gonna be real similar to the John Deere 420 that we just restored. Same exact engine, pretty much. So let's go ahead and start ripping and tearing. So right now we're watching a time-lapse version of us disassembling this engine in order to see how it really is on the inside. This is our best case to judge if this engine is healthy enough to even rebuild or even end up restoring this tractor. This is our first step in determining whether or not we are going to restore this tractor and put a good amount of money into it. Right now you can see I just disconnected the wiring harness, but then my dad is currently disconnecting the exhaust manifold and intake, and notices something weird. There is just oil running out of the manifold. If you kind of saw that there, that was transmission oil running out of the manifold ports. So someone had been here before, and like I was saying before with the stripped out belt pulley, it's very clear that this tractor was abused and someone had been here before and had worked on it. So there's the valve cover coming off right there. And I also want to mention too right now that the camera does eventually die here soon, but I'll take the rocker arm bolts off right there. As you can see, we'll pull the rocker arm off. And if you want to see a more in-depth video of what we're doing right now, you can always check out our John Deere 420 utility series that we restored probably a couple months ago. It's got the same exact two-cylinder instead of horizontal, but this is the two-cylinder Dubuque engine rebuild. So there's the exhaust manifold getting pulled off, as well as the choke cable. Get that out of the way and onto the parts table. But like I was saying before, it's key for us to determine the health of not only the engine, but some of the other more vital parts of the tractor before we even move forward into the restoration. So there's us draining the coolant out of the tractor, which I'm surprised had any. So that kind of gives us a good idea that we got a good radiator. And the camera looks like it twisted a little bit during this, but there we go. Centered out right there. I am getting the rocker arm up, and if you notice, it's coming up really tight. And if I were to extremely zoom in on the far stud facing toward the gas tank, somebody had taken this rocker arm and put it on really tight and smashed it down with a hammer. And that kind of gives us another key detail on how abused and how beaten this tractor has been in its life. And right here is when the camera dies. Alright, so the camera died while we were taking the rocker arm off. We got the little water jacket off, and all the head bolts are out. Let's go ahead and take the head off. She's stuck.
I'm gonna try to save the thing.
There's a head bolt still in. That one is loose though.
What?
What am I doing? The hell am I doing? Now it'll come out. Of course it falls as soon as I freaking don't want it to. Now the head will come off. Alright everybody, well we got some disappointing news here. This is full of water and this piston's actually got a damn hole in it. Completely rusted through. So this tractor is probably going to end up just being parts for us. So we're going to end up doing whatever to it. We'll figure out what goes next. But now I'm glad we didn't do anything with the brakes because the engine, you guys can see, is pretty darn junk. You can see the piston there is pretty caved in. That's not a good sign. And then this piston here, who knows what that looks like. It's just full of water. Let's look what the here's the bottom of the head. The cylinder head could be a useful piece to keep. A little rusty. This is pretty unfortunate. So this tractor is
Parts.
Alright, well, this is kind of disappointing for this tractor, but sometimes you do get stuff like this. This is a little bit too far gone for what we're going to do to it, but it is going to be a nice little tractor to take parts off of and sell, and it's got pretty good tin work on it, so we could make a little bit of money off of that. But unfortunately, with the piston having a hole pretty much through it, the brakes being locked up, the steering, who knows what's wrong. It's probably cracked in the front bolster. I was going to take a look at that. But the engine, with the hole in the piston, there's probably cracks somewhere else that we don't know. This isn't a good sign. This engine is essentially junk. So you'd have to be essentially looking for another engine for this thing, and for what this thing is to us, it's not exactly worth it. So unfortunately, this tractor is going to be sent to heaven. So it is what it is, but we'll catch you guys at the next video. I don't know if I'll have some content for next week because I'll be headed out for a couple weeks to Australia, but I should have some videos coming after that. Unfortunately, the John Deere M is not going to be living again. Thank you guys for watching, and if you like videos like this, please subscribe. Leave you at the hole in the piston.